The dark side of Epsilon 9 smelled like burnt metal and cold dust. Smoke curled lazy from the broken ship, twisting up into a sky full of sharp stars that didn't twinkle. They just stared. Scout's boots crunched on black sand, still warm from the crash. She had come alone, flashlight cutting a thin path through the mess of twisted panels and sparking wires. The wind whipped hard, tugging at her hood, but she kept moving until she saw it. One small star-claw pup, half buried under a shredded wing panel. The little thing looked broken. Silver fur singed black at the edges, one thin wing membrane ripped like wet paper. No bigger than a fat house cat, but already built for speed and teeth. Its cries came out weak, more squeak than roar, swallowed fast by the howling air. Scout's heart did a funny jump. She told herself it was just the cold. She knelt slow, knees popping in the silence, and peeled off her thick thermal jacket. The wind bit her arms right away, but she didn't care. She scooped the pup close, felt its tiny ribs flutter against her palms, and wrapped it snug. The fabric smelled of sweat and base camp coffee. The pup's claws poked through, little needles against her skin, but it stopped crying. Just hiccups now, warm breath puffing against her neck. She tucked the bundle inside her vest, right over her heart, and zipped up. The weight was nothing, but it changed everything. Scout stood, turned her back on the smoking wreck, and started walking. The sand sucked at her boots, each step a fight, but she kept a steady rhythm. Behind her, the ship hissed one last time and went quiet. Ahead, the horizon stayed empty. No lights, no help, just her and the pup borrowing warmth from each other. The pup shifted, nose poking out, sniffing the air thick with ozone and fear. Scout whispered without thinking, "Easy, kid. We're getting out of here." Her voice sounded small in the big dark, but the pup settled, claws curling into her shirt like it trusted the promise. She adjusted the bundle higher, felt the faint thump of its heart against hers, and picked up the pace. The base was hours away, over ridges that looked like frozen waves. Wind screamed louder, trying to push her back, but Scout leaned in and kept going, one foot then the other. The stars watched the whole way, cold and curious, as a human carried alien hope across a dead world. The base doors hissed open and Scout stepped through. Snow still clinging to her boots, the bundle tucked tight under her arm. Alarms blared once, then cut off. Someone hit the wrong button in the rush. Heads turned fast. A colonel with coffee breath started yelling about quarantine zones and red tape. Two techs in white suits waved scanners like they could magic the problem away. Scout kept walking, boots leaving wet prints on the metal floor, until she reached her bunk in the corner. She unwrapped the jacket slow. The pup blinked up at the bright lights, silver fur fluffed from the warmth, one wing hanging loose like a torn sail. It sneezed, tiny, cute, deadly. The room went quieter than a held breath. Scout grabbed a clean towel, wiped soot from its snout, then mixed warm synth milk in a dropper. The pup latched on greedy little gulps loud in the silence. When it finished, it curled on her cot, wings folded awkward, and fell asleep with one paw over its nose. Nights got loud after that. The pup woke every few hours, whimpering like a lost kettle. Scout would roll over, slip a hand under the blanket, and rest it on the warm belly until the cries turned to purrs. The base doctor, a guy with glasses always sliding down, ran scans during the day. "Wings shot," he muttered, pointing at glowing lines on the screen. "But the rest?" "Tough little thing," Scout just nodded. She named it Ash because the fur looked like campfire leftovers, soft and gray at the tips. Word came down from the top. Crate the specimen, ship it to Central Labs. Two guards showed up with a metal box big enough for a dog. Scout planted herself in the doorway, arms crossed, boots wide. "Over my body," she said, voice flat as the floor. The guards shifted, looked at the colonel, looked back. Ash picked that moment to wake. It limped across the cot, 3 good legs, one dragging, then across the cold floor until it bumped its head against Scout's boot. A soft thump, like saying mine. The pup looked up with big star-filled eyes and yawned, tiny fangs glinting. The colonel opened his mouth, closed it. One guard scratched his neck. The box stayed empty. Scout reached down, scooped Ash up, and settled it against her shoulder. It weighed nothing, but felt like everything. The room exhaled. Someone in the back started slow claps that spread until the whole bay echoed. Scout ignored it, just carried Ash back to the cot and pulled the blanket higher. Outside, the wind kept rattling the walls, but inside her corner, the only sound was steady breathing, human and alien side by side. Weeks slipped by like sand through fingers, then months. Ash shot up overnight, legs too long, wings dragging on the floor like old capes nobody wanted. It tripped over its own paws during morning runs, tumbling into Scout's legs with a surprised squeak. She laughed the first time, a short bark that echoed off the dome walls, then rigged a harness from scrap flight straps. Black webbing, quick-release buckles, soft padding where wings rubbed. Ash tested it with a hop, landed on her shoulder, claws gentle for once. Perfect fit. From then on, they moved as one. Dawn patrols became routine. Scout's boots crunched frost along the perimeter fence while Ash perched high, nose twitching at every scent the wind carried. She pointed at things, rusty antenna, frozen puddle, distant mountains, and named them slow, rock, water, home. Ash clicked back, copying the pack sounds from grainy old files Scout played on her pad. The clicks turned into words rough but clear. Sky cold, Scout warm. The crew watched from windows at first, coffee cups frozen halfway to mouths. Then they relaxed. A cook started leaving synth meat strips by the door, wrapped in foil like gifts. Ash snatched them mid-bound, wings flapping for balance, and the cook grinned like he'd won a bet. Ash learned tricks. Fetch the glove, bring it back without chewing. Sit when the alarm chirped, drill. Roll over for belly rubs that left silver fur all over Scout's shirt. Nights, it claimed half the pillow, head heavy on her arm, purring like a broken engine. Scout traced the scarred wing, felt the rough patch where flight would never return, and whispered stories about Earth oceans the pup would never see. Ash listened, eyes half closed, tail thumping soft against the blanket. One evening, the supply shuttle roared in low, kicking up dust devils. Pilot tossed a sealed envelope with the rations. Scout slid it open by lantern light. Void pack fleet back in system, sweeping crash sites, asking questions. She read it twice, words burning holes in the paper. The fire pit outside crackled hungry. She fed the message in, watched flames eat the ink. Ash slept on the cot, chest rising steady, one paw twitching in dreams. Scout sat on the edge, hand on the warm harness buckle, and felt the choice settle like stones in her gut. No lab, no crate. This pup was hers now, and she was its. The stars outside could come looking all they wanted. Twilight painted the sky in bruised purples and thin orange streaks, the two moons already climbing like watchful eyes. Scout felt the ground shake first, low thumps that rattled her teeth, then the alarms kicked in, shrill and endless. Red lights spun across the dome walls. Crew shouted into comms, boots pounding toward bunkers. Scout ignored it all. She buckled the harness tighter, Ash clinging to her back like a living backpack, wings half spread for balance. The pup's claws dug in, but not from fear, just holding on. She pushed through the main doors alone. Cold air slapped her face, carrying the smell of hot engines and desert dust. 3-pack ships hung low, sleek as knives, then dropped hard. The lead one hit sand with a boom that sent grit flying in sheets. Ramp hissed open. A massive Alpha stepped out, twice Scout's height, scars glowing soft blue like veins under fur. Its breath steamed in the chill, eyes locking on the small silver shape peeking over Scout's shoulder. Ash squeaked, high and nervous, wings fluttering useless against the straps. Scout planted her feet wide, one hand sliding back to rest on the pup's neck. Steady pressure like saying, "I've got you." The Alpha tilted its head, nostrils flaring. It circled slow, paws silent on the sand, sniffing the air thick with human sweat and pup milk. Scout didn't move. Wind tugged her hair, but her stare stayed level. The Alpha paused behind her, lowered its huge head until warm breath ruffled the harness. Muzzle brushed the strap once, twice, tasting the mix of scents baked in over months. Scout's skin, Ash's fur, shared blankets and dawn walks. A deep rumble started in its chest, rolling out like distant thunder but softer. Not anger, recognition. Pack engines whined down across the ships, lights dimming to standby glow. The Alpha nudged Ash first, gentle bump under the chin that made the pup chirp in surprise. Then it turned to Scout, pressed its broad forehead to her shoulder, firm enough to rock her back a step. Invitation. The ramp stayed open, warm light spilling out like a promise. Scout exhaled slow, felt Ash's heart hammering against her spine. She scratched the pup's ear once, then stepped forward. Sand crunched under her boots, the Alpha falling in beside her like an honor guard. Behind them, the base doors stayed shut, faces pressed to windows, but no one followed. The night smelled of engines and home now, and Scout walked toward the light with her family at her back. Dawn cracked open the sky like a fresh egg, spilling pale gold across the sand. Scout stood at the ramp's edge, Ash cradled in her arms, harness straps still buckled tight. The pup's silver fur caught the light, making it glow like moon dust. Warm air spilled from the ship's hold, carrying smells of oil and warm bodies. She stepped up the metal grate, boots clanging once, then twice. Inside, the pack waited. Dozens of star claws packed shoulder to shoulder, wings folded neat against their backs. Young ones peeked from behind bigger legs. Old ones stood tall with scars like maps. Every eye turned to her, quiet as snowfall. The Alpha met her halfway. Its paw, big as a dinner plate, lifted slow and rested over Scout's heart. Thump, thump, steady under claw tips. Then it moved to Ash, pressing gentle over the pup's chest. A single word rumbled out, deep and rolling. The ship's walls lit up with soft blue text. Den Mother. Scout felt the weight of it settle in her bones, warm and real. Ash chirped, head butting the Alpha's chin, and the big creature huffed what might have been a laugh. Engines hummed awake. The ramp sealed with a soft hiss. Scout found a spot near the wall, sat on a low bench built for tails. Ash curled in her lap, wings draped like blankets. The floor vibrated as the fleet lifted. Smooth, no lurch, just up and away. Through a wide viewport, she watched Epsilon 9 shrink. First, the base lights winking out, then the black sand turning to a dusty coin, then nothing but stars. The pack shifted around her, making space. A young star claw, barely bigger than Ash, nudged a water pouch her way. She took it, drank, passed it back. Simple. Easy. Base cameras caught the last glimpse. Scout framed in the open hatch for a second. Silver bodies closing ranks, Ash's head on her shoulder like it belonged there. The feed blasted across every screen from here to the core worlds. Comments poured in, shock, cheers, memes with fire emojis. Scout never saw a single one. She was busy learning the ship's rhythm, when the lights dimmed for sleep, how the food slots worked, the way the pack clicked soft warnings before turns. Ash stayed glued to her side, practicing new words in clicks and broken English. "Home fly," it said once, pointing at the stars rushing past. Scout ruffled its ears. "Yeah, kid. Home flies." Days blurred into starlight. She learned to move with the pack, duck when wings spread, step light on claw-sensitive floors. They taught her hunt games in the cargo bay, using floating light balls instead of prey. She taught them Earth songs, off-key and loud. The Alpha watched it all, eyes soft. One night it brought her a new harness, bigger, stitched with silver thread that matched Ash's fur. Scout buckled it on, felt the pack's warmth at her back, and smiled into the dark. Out there, the galaxy spun wild and dangerous, but inside the ship, a human had a family that stretched wing to wing. Humanity fucks, yeah,